Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at this locomotive. We're also going to discuss a rather unpleasant subject, not just in model railroading, but in several fields. What we're looking at here is a New Jersey Camelback 460 made by New One out of Tokyo, Japan. These models were imported by AHM from the late 1950s to the early 1960s, early to mid 1960s. These New One had a very unusual lineup of locomotives. They were divided into groups like Pioneer, Historic, and so on. They tended to have unique models like this Camelback, also a 422 filling and reading bicycle locomotive, and other unusual prototypes. Now, unfortunately, and by the way, I got this particular locomotive in an estate along with a bunch of other AHM equipment. Unfortunately, though, New One models were also notorious for suffering from something called zinc pest, zinc rot, zamic rot, and so on. It is caused by contamination of the alloy as it's being cast. It first showed up in the 1920s through the 1950s. Better casting processes have largely eliminated it, although it still shows up in more modern materials from time to time. It is a condition where the metal begins to crack and crumble and warp and eventually fall apart. It doesn't show up right away. A part could go for, or a train like this could go for decades, and be perfectly normal, and then all of a sudden begin to crumble, which makes it a very frustrating and scary thought for collectors. Imagine paying top dollar for a locomotive like this, only to watch it begin to crumble before your eyes. With that being said, let's take a look at this one. First thing you'll notice is here on the front, the walkway has begun to crumble right here. Notice also all of the scratches and on the surface of it. These are the early signs of zinc pest. Then the front truck has broken off and fallen apart. Notice also the crumbling here on the tender sides. One of the trucks on the tender has fallen apart. I've got it sitting on a plastic truck. And the chassis of the tender is warping so bad that it broke the tab out of the center of the tender. There you can see the crumbling that comes from zinc pest. So this thing is literally just crumbling apart. What can be done to stop this? Unfortunately, not very much. Some people say that soaking it in vinegar will slow down the process. It is thought that keeping it in a low humidity environment will also slow down or stop the process. But other than that, there really isn't anything you can do about it. Now, I did try putting this locomotive on a track. Not surprisingly, when you put power to it, nothing happened. It wouldn't run, the light wouldn't come on or anything. However, this is a rather unique subject. You don't see camelbacks very often in the hobby. Camelbacks, by the way, were designed to burn cume, anthracite, and other low energy coal that required a larger grate to burn. And so you'll notice the firebox stretches the width of the locomotive, and the engineer has a cab here in the front The fireman just has a simple shelter here in the back. I've actually seen one of these at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum, except theirs is a Atlantic of 442, but it's very similar to this one. And so rather than throwing this one away or tossing it in my parts box, I decided to keep it as a static exhibit around my turntable. So now you know about new one models. If you didn't know about Zinc Pest, now you do. And when you see this locomotive in my videos and wonder why I never run it, well, now you know. Thank you very much for watching.